You need people that are not just going to tell you when things are good, but you also need people that are going to hold you accountable and tell you, no, you're not doing this right. Yes, you need to make this change and truly hold you accountable. And that's what makes you better, is to get both that positive and that negative feedback.
Hi, Brittany. How are you?
Denise, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. I'm excited to have you here with us to share your story and just to tell us where is it all coming from and all this creativity that you're doing on your Instagram and your life and your career, your new business. So there's usually something that was born, but with everything that is born, there's always a story. And I'm just so intrigued to hear that and to share it with everybody.
Well,
So
thank you for having me.
fantastic. So let's get started. Tell me about your journey.
My journey is a fun one. I think oftentimes when people tell their story, they talk a lot about adulthood, but I really believe my journey of why I am the way I am today, it starts from my childhood. My dad was in the military and he was either deployed or we were moving a ton as a child. So I was always moving around to different places. I was always the new kid and I had to find my way of how to fit in. And it's ironic that growing up, I hated moving around. I would cry and complain. I was the one child that would give my parents the most fit. But as an adult, I moved around a ton in my adult life. I went to school locally here in Orlando at the University of Central Florida. And I guess I should say, I went to school to be a health care administrator. I was convinced I was going to be a nursing home administrator. I worked at a nursing home all through college in the activities department, and I thought that was so much fun. And then it was like 6 months before graduation, I went to my dad and said, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't know what I want to do. And my dad's like, well, you better figure it out because you're walking across that stage because the scholarship you're on is running out and you need to figure out what you're going to do. And thankfully, I connected with someone in that my dad had in his network. And he gave me an opportunity to go work in the CPG industry. It was completely different from anything I had ever thought about or explored. But because of the strong foundation that my parents instilled in me of working hard, I jumped right into it. I had played sports growing up. My brother played sports. My dad's a basketball coach. We're very competitive. And this was a competitive environment where you could win, you work hard, you play hard, you achieved, and you could succeed. And I moved around a ton when I was at that organization every 2 years, ironically. I moved every 2 years as a child. And then as an adult, I was moving every 2 years to different roles or to different cities. And then after working at that company for about 8.5 years, I went through some things in my career where I was doing things for the title. I was doing things for the promotion, for the money, but I truly was not happy with what I was doing. I was just doing things to pay the bills and to live a nice life, but I wasn't doing things because I truly enjoyed it and I was passionate about it. And unfortunately, my mom got sick the last 2 years of me working at that organization. And one of the conversations that we had was, Brittany, do what makes you happy, do what brings you joy. And so I went on this journey of discovering what made me happy and what brought me joy. And that's where I ended up where I'm working now in the medical device industry. And ironically, I've experienced a ton of change while I've been here at this organization, some voluntarily, some involuntary change where roles have been eliminated, but all of those roadblocks, barriers have ultimately led me to the role that I was previously in the development space. And that helped me figure out what is my purpose, what is my why. And ironically, I wanted to be a nursing home administrator. And I think about Why did I like doing that? Why did I like leading people at my last organization, but I didn't quite like everything that was entailed with it? But it's because I like to serve others. And through serving others and figuring out that's what my passion is, that's how I've been able to land in this development space of not only working in development, but owning my own company, Honor Development, because I love serving others. I've faced so many roadblocks throughout my career that it's allowed me to navigate different things. And if I can help others whenever they get to those roadblocks of how to navigate it, yes, you're going to face roadblocks, you're going to face challenges. There's no way to avoid it. But if I can teach you something or share a story of mine or ask you questions to figure out how you can navigate yourself, then I'm doing my job. I'm serving my purpose of serving others. And that's kind of where the passion of wanting to help and serve others comes from.
Wow, 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 wow.
It was a
That
condensed version of a 12-year career, but that's it.
um it is crazy how life sometimes take you through so many different career changes, titles, ways that you're feeling at the moment. Sometimes you're focused on this, you're focused on this, but you're ultimately going to reach where you need to go, to where how you were created, or what, or your purpose. So
Absolutely.
it is crazy how stories evolve into.
Evolve. It plays a big part into when I was younger, I was doing what I wanted to do. What I thought was cool, what I thought was popular. I wasn't doing what God wanted me to do. And once I got in alignment with what God wanted me to do, then that's when I figured out these are my morals, these are my values, this is my firm foundation. And if I stay focused on those things, the blessings will come, the opportunities will come. And that's what's helped me out so much is figuring out if I'm in alignment with him and what he wants me to do, then the opportunities are there and they're endless. And it got easier, honestly.
It does get easier,
It
yeah.
does. It gets easier when you do it his way rather than our own way. And he has a way of if you want to continue doing it your way, he has the ability to just take your life and shake it and flip it upside down and be like, look, you didn't want to do it my way. Now I'm going to force you to do it my way. And I'm appreciative of his grace and mercy for allowing me to land on my feet to figure out what it is that he wants me to do.
Yes. When, what was going on when you actually found it was that pivotal moment that you said, uh-huh, okay, God,
Yeah.
let's do
It's
it your way.
there's a few moments that I can think of. It One of them that was most critical was I was early 20s. I had gotten into my first like big leadership role. I was a general manager of a facility. I had like 100 employees that were reporting to me. And I was in a very toxic work environment. But I took this opportunity because everyone told me this is what you're supposed to do. If you want to be successful, you have to do this. You have to make sacrifices. I packed up and left my home and moved to take this. I knew no one. It was the most isolating and scariest experience of my life. And I was put in situations that honestly no young woman should ever have to be put in from a racial standpoint, gender standpoint. The things that I faced were so dark, but I'm so thankful because going through that allowed me to realize, okay, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, but I still was chasing that success. And in the midst of that, like I said, my mother got sick. And, when you see the matriarch of your family get really sick, and almost to the point where it's like, I might not have this anymore, everything gets real. And it's like, this job doesn't matter, the title don't matter, the money doesn't matter. My family's what matter. And that is something that I had to learn in that moment. And again, that's something so drastic that God allowed to happen for me to realize this is what's important. But keep in mind, I had this life-changing experience, but there was still a part of me that wanted to do it my way. I had that moment, had that experience. I committed my life to Christ through that tough time at my church in Charleston, South Carolina, Royal Missionary Baptist Church. And I still was, okay, Lord, I want to do it your way, but maybe we could still try to incorporate what I want to do on the side. And so I still was chasing a title, and I took an even bigger location. So I went from 100 people reporting to me to, I think it was like almost 300 some people. And I had a great boss at this time. It was another Black woman. And I had a great team. I was in one of the best work environments, but I still was so unhappy. And it
Mm.
was wild to those around me because they're like, Brittany, you're getting everything you say you want. You're achieving all this success, but why are you unhappy? But it was because I wasn't doing what God wanted me to do. I was doing what I wanted to do. I was doing what other people, what mentors I had at the time were telling me that I needed to do. And so going through that, I had to realize, okay, this is what's important to me, my faith, my family, and serving others and empowering others is what's important to me. And it took drastic experiences that when I decided to leave that organization, people were like, what? You've been here for 8 years. You're going to pick up and leave. And I started over. I went from leading complex teams to being someone's assistant at my new organization, but I knew I needed to take a step back in order to move forward. And again, I'm just grateful that I did that and took that opportunity.
Wow, wow. Just your story keeps on getting more interesting and
There's layers.
more more inspirational. Um, so let's go back to when you were running that facility, you went from 100 and something to 300. Let's go into leadership. How did that help you become who you are in your career and your leadership role?
Absolutely. I learned so much about myself as a person, not even just as a leader. It was about effective communication and heavy on the listening. I think as leaders, especially when you're a first time leader, a lot of people think that, oh, I'm the boss, I'm in charge, people are going to listen to what I have to say. I'm the oldest child of three also. So I was used to being the boss of my siblings. And I was like, oh, this is great. They're going to just listen to what I have to say. They're going to do what I want them to do. And I was like, wait, they're not listening. But I realized it was because I wasn't listening. And I learned a lot of those skills of it's about effective communication, but it's not just articulating yourself in the mission and the strategy, but it's also listening to your team, what they need, and fighting and removing barriers for your team so they can be successful. So it was really important. And I learned that a lot in those teams of I need to know what my team's goal is. I need to know what the strategy is. I need to deliver that to my team, but I also need to listen to them because they know what's coming ahead. They know what might be in the blind spots, and they can tell me what the barriers are so I can block and tackle and they can do what they need to do. And then I think another thing that I learned through that time of leading teams is the power of having a strong network. I I cannot emphasize that enough that whether you're a people leader or an individual contributor, having a network is so critical. And there's going to be times that people are going to come around and say, hey, I can help you, I can this, I can that. But you have to have discernment to know that not everyone, unfortunately, means you well, but always take time to listen because there are little nuggets that you can learn along the way. And I'm thankful that I was stubborn, but I listened to those that were around me and the advice that they gave me. And I had a coworker, two coworkers, to this day refer to them as my brothers, Chad Pigford and Greg Murphy. They were two men at my company that took me under their wings and were like, okay, you're my sister. I got you. I'm going to teach you the ropes. And they taught me the ropes. And I'm so thankful for that because they saved me from myself so many times. And if I can emphasize that to anybody, it's just the importance of communication and having the right people around you. And you need people that are not just going to tell you when things are good, but you also need people that are going to hold you accountable and tell you, no, you're not doing this right. Yes, you need to make this change, and truly hold you accountable. And that's what makes you better, is to get both that positive and that negative feedback.
Yeah, yes. I love when we encounter mentors that are
Mhm.
truly mentors that are the leaders build leaders, you know,
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely.
that there's no competition more than it is,
Mhm.
let me help you out. And indeed, that's a true leader.
Absolutely. It's helping others. And that's why we're not meant to be alone. We're meant to have a community. We're meant to have support. And a lot of people want to try to do things alone. There does come a point in time where you do have to sit in silence, operate by yourself, but there also is a turning point in everyone's career and in your life where you have to lean on those around you to tell them, what are your goals? What are you working on? So they can hold you accountable and they can help you and support you. And you never know who you have in your network, who they know that can help you be able to achieve those goals.
And that goes to going back to, like, I know some of our parents said it,
Mhm.
our grandparents, just, surround yourself with
Mhm.
good people that you aim for, or they're just a good influence. Because
Absolutely.
it's truly, it works.
It
I have
does.
experienced it for myself, and there's something to, it just lifts you up.
It really does. My dad used to always say, growing up, stay focused, no distractions. And I think it meant in the things that I was doing and also the people that you keep around you. But I think to build on that, it's really important to recognize that when you have a network or even you have life experiences, everything has a season, a reason, or it's meant to last a lifetime. And you have to be able to recognize with your network and those people that are around you, has the season expired? Is this no longer serving me? Are they no longer pouring positivity or constructive feedback into my life? What was the reason for this? Or is this something that needs to last a lifetime and someone that needs to be around for the till we're old and gray?
Love it, love it. I'm going to touch a little bit on the listening
Hmm.
because it is so important, because a lot of people think that communication means you expressing how you feel. Yes, but it also means listen.
Yeah.
So communicating between your partner or your team,
Mm,
yes, express it, but just as much as you want to be heard, they also want to be heard. Um,
absolutely.
and acknowledge your team. So like that's
Absolutely.
definitely a key point for leadership.
Absolutely.
I lost my notes. Hold on.
It's okay. I would like to add that when I was getting my coaching certification, I read a book. I remember what I thought coaching was. I was like, "Oh, I've been coaching my entire career." No, I've been mentoring and I've been sponsoring individuals, but I wasn't truly coaching. And one of the books I read, it was called Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. And it talks a lot about asking questions and how you ask those powerful questions. And I even challenge myself in my day to day to just ask more questions, to be inquisitive. And it's so amazing what you uncover about a situation, what you uncover about a person when you ask those deep level questions or even just ask one additional question. And typically, when I'm on a call, if I hear someone ask a good question, I write that question down because I was like, man, that's a great question to be able to peel back the onion to get back to the root cause of what an issue could be or whatever a circumstance is.
Yes, 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 that's good. Which actually sometimes I do hear great questions and I don't write them down. I just say, "Oh, that's a great question," but I should start
Write it
writing
down.
them down.
Yes, write it down in my notes. I have a list of good questions that I think are very helpful.
So, if you have to define success now compared to how you used to, see success, because I know that success is what you define it to be.
Mhm, mhm,
When, like, if you're a person that tend to do things based on other people, then you tend to see what success is for them, then
mhm,
that's for you. But
mhm.
really, everybody has their definition of success. What is your success? What does it mean now for you?
Before having the title, having a lot of money, it made me, that's what I thought success was. And it wasn't, again, until like critical life experiences that I realized success for me is when I'm walking in my purpose, when I'm doing what it is that I'm supposed to be doing, when I'm serving others, when I'm coaching people and watching the light bulbs come on. Like that for me, it's a high. And I feel like I'm on top of the world because I'm helping others, or I'm watching others help themselves, or when I'm coaching a client through interviewing and then they call me that they got the job. That's success for me because I'm truly walking in my purpose. And I think people oftentimes think that money or a title make you rich. Those aren't the things that make you rich. Having a healthy family, having a strong faith, like those are the things in life that make me feel rich. And if it was according to that, I'm a billionaire. Basically Elon Musk, you know?
That's definitely good. On your Instagram, you have what is it? Changing the game?
Yes, change the game.
Tell me
That's
more about that. How did that became changing the game? Yeah.
absolutely. I changed the game was a phrase that I've always said to myself about, hey, it's chess, not checkers. Like we have to learn how to play it. We can't just play the game. We gotta change the game. And it was something that has always been in the back of my mind. And as I think about it, that's how I view corporate America. And that's how I view life at times. If you don't learn how to play the game, you can't change the game. And sometimes if you don't learn how to play the game, you can end up getting played. So when it comes to corporate America, if you're not learning how to network and navigate challenge and conflict resolution, you could end up being manipulated and played. And it's really about that life. It's not a game of chance, it's a game of strategy. And that, we have to again learn how to make sure that we're playing the game properly. And no, I don't want to minimize life into a game. And no, we're not trying to manipulate different pieces, but you do have to be on your toes and be ready for what's coming and being able to strategize to understand, okay, what do I need to work on to develop in the season? If I'm going to stay put, what do I need to do to be able to continue to develop to stay up with the times? Or if I want to elevate myself or make a lateral move or whatever it is that I need to do, what is it that I need to do to strategize to get to where I need to be? Because it's chess, not checkers.
Love it, love it. I when you were explaining the changing the game, I kind of like saw it as in I know when I sometimes I tell people you have to heal, and they say I don't know how to. And it's like, so here it is, it's changing the game. You don't know
Mhm.
how to play the game, you have to learn. So it's putting yourself in those I guess spots, or putting yourself in a gosh, I guess making sure that you look for those resources, because sometimes
Absolutely.
you're not just gonna come because and you can
Absolutely.
always say the excuse, I don't know how to play the game, I don't
Absolutely.
heal.
Yeah.
But people really need to, like, how bad do you want it? Like, how bad do you want
Yes.
to win the game? That's how
Yes.
much you're going to study. That's how much you're going to
Exactly.
work at it. Like,
Exactly.
that is funny. I'm thinking of Kobe Bryant, you know.
Yeah. That Mamba mentality, like how bad do you want it? How bad do you want to achieve success? And again, success means something different To someone else. To Kobe, it was winning games. And I think you have to understand, okay, what is my goal? What is it that I want to achieve? How bad do I want this? And what do I need to do in order to get there? What are the moves that I need to make in order to get to where I need to be? But again, it starts with that mindset, and it also making sure that your values are in alignment, but then it's like mind, body, soul are also in alignment, because you talk about healing. I had to do a lot of healing along the way in order to start to figure out what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. And it just takes a lot of work, but that comes with change and evolution. Is you have to work and you have to change and you have to mold in order to get to where you want to be. And I think a lot of times people think it's easy. It's not easy. It's painful. You're going to cry. You're going to be mad. You're going to be sad. You're going to feel all of these emotions, probably all the emotions of grief. But when you get to where you are wanting to get, or when you at least see that it's in sight, it makes it all worth it. Like, I've experienced so much pain in my life. I honestly could probably write a book, or we could talk for 3 hours going through all the pain that I've gone through. But in spite of all that, I'm thankful that I went through all that, and I wouldn't change any of it.
Yes, yes. And it's also like all this, like, and I say this a lot. Everybody has a story to tell.
Mhm.
Everybody has a story from when they were growing up, teenage years, adulthood, career. But what did you do with that pain and struggle?
Mm,
Now that's
absolutely.
where your story is. I'm getting goosebumps as I get
Yes.
say that.
Me too, because it's a lot of people will experience things and they're like, well, this happened to me, and this person did this to me, this happened this to me. No, this happened for you. What are you going to do? How are you going to take this to use this as the fuel to pour on the fire to go where you need to go? And I think a lot of people, if you can tap into where that pain and hurt comes from, like you said, you find your story, you find what it is that you need to do and what that purpose is. But again, having to do that work, it's exhausting and it's painful and emotional. And some people don't want to tap into that, and that's okay. But when you realize that's what you need to do in order to achieve your goals and work into your purpose, what do you want to sacrifice?
So true. So true. Like I can resonate with that because I had gone through my own healing. And it was to the point that, I just didn't want to hurt anymore. I wanted to start being healed and feeling different.
Mhm.
So I wanted it bad. So I
Mhm.
worked really hard towards it.
Absolutely.
Um, and like you said, it's not easy, but when
Mhm.
you see that glimpse,
It's worth it. It's so worth it. And then also when you see that the work that you're doing, how it's inspiring others
yes,
to
yes.
work on themselves, it's like, okay, Lord, that was painful for me to go through. But if my mother can call me and say, Brittany, your videos that you post, they've encouraged me to figure out what I want to do in my next career. Or, just those little messages, because I have no clue why I'm doing what I'm doing. I mean, I know I'm doing it because it's in alignment with my purpose, but I don't know where it's going. I just know God put this on my heart to do the Quick Tip Tuesday videos and to launch my own podcast. And I know he put that on my heart. So I'm doing it, not knowing where it's going. But when I'm hearing from other people, hey, how this has inspired me, this is how this has encouraged me, this is how I'm setting my goals or navigating conflict, whatever it is that they're working on, that they're hearing from my message, I'm like, okay, Lord, I get it. This is what I'm doing. I'm here to, you know, spread the mission in the words that I need to be able to help coach and inspire others.
Yes. What keeps you what keeps you grounded? And I can already know what it is, but I we can always say God, we can always say our
Mhm.
faith, but there's a detail in
Mhm.
that. Because sometimes as we go through life, doing the work, hearing other people's stories, doing what you do every day, it can be draining. Uh,
Mhm.
Sometimes you hear people's stories and it just affects you in a different way.
Absolutely.
So, like, we need something that can fill our cup. So,
Yes,
so
absolutely. What keeps me grounded is my family. Yes, I've talked about my faith, but I think my family is such a big piece of that. My parents live 20 minutes from me. My grandparents live 15 minutes from me. I see them all the time. That's what keeps me grounded in my husband. Like I see God's face in my husband because he is one person that he will tell me when I'm right, tell me when I'm wrong. He is my biggest supporter. And no matter what he is going through, he's the one that's there helping support and honestly coach me and helps keep me grounded of like, okay, you got too much dip on your chip. You're starting to feel yourself. Bring it back down. I know you feel like you're Coach Honor right now, but you are actually my wife. And let's bring it on back down to earth. And then my family, they know me. They know my heart. They know my heart's desires. They do the same thing. And I think they help keep me grounded. And my husband and I, we've been going to a church here in Orlando, Church on the Living Edge. And we watch Bible study on Tuesdays. We go to church on Sundays. And that for us, no matter how tired we are from travel from the work or whatever it is we have going on, that's the time that we go to get the word from Pastor Mario and to pay our tithes and do like that. That's what keeps us where we need to be is to get that. And then again, also doing that work and reading. I love to read books. I have a ton of books here. And yes, I've actually read all of these books, but reading has what helped me. And also, we like to have little dance sessions. I have one of my mentors, her name is Ebony Travis. She posts these videos on Instagram of her just like dancing it out. And she doesn't care what it is, but I'm like, that just looks so much fun. At first I was like, okay, maybe that looks a little crazy, but I look at her, I'm like, man, she looks like she's having so much fun. And I've started doing that. That before a call, if I'm feeling nervous or scared, I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna dance it out. And I will put on music and I will like dance like a little kid, looking absolutely ridiculous, but it helps me stay grounded. It helps me, find my center and to honestly not take myself too serious at times as well.
oh, that's so so good. I love the dancing section. I'm gonna
Absolutely.
try that.
Yes, try it. I'm telling you right before here because I walk with anxiety and I get very nervous speaking. I get very nervous in on conference calls. And what I've read is that your body, your brain is not able to tell the difference between nervousness and excitement. And so through reading that in one of my books or maybe a podcast that I was listening to, I realized, okay, how do I channel that energy that I think is nervousness into excitement? So I tell myself I'm excited and then I'm just going to start dancing it out, or I might even just start singing.
Oh, it's so so good. Well, you have left us with a lot of tips, but what will be one of the takeaways from our listeners um on the topic of like resilient and growth? Like what would you say? What would that be?
Yeah. I think it's do the work to figure out what your why is. What are the things that you value? What is your purpose? Just take that time and it's not going to come overnight. It's not going to come in one like journaling session, whatever it is. It's going to come over time. Make a list of the things that are important to you and start dwindling. What are those 2 to 3 things that are most important to you? And then once you have those values down, figure out what can I do in my life that's going to give me the most fulfillment to achieve these values and to make sure that if you have your values as the foundation of everything that you'll do, you'll find that true happiness. And then most importantly, surround yourself with good people. It's painful to do both of those process, but for surrounding yourself with good people will help you get in alignment with your purpose and then figure out what those values are and what's important to you.
Yes, definitely. That is one advice that I will have to like 1000% agree. Surround with people that are positive. For me, it was kind of like, who do you see as a role model? Because it gets to a point that they no longer become your own role model. You be your
Absolutely.
own role model. Ah, I love that. Thank
Yes.
you. So this been very exciting to interview you, to hear your story and everything that you're doing. Learning more and more about you is excitement, is exciting. So where can our audience connect with you and on social media?
Absolutely. I have my Instagram is at Honor Development. Post every Tuesday, a quick tip Tuesday, as well as I am launching a podcast on February 6th. It's called Chess, Not Checkers, where we learn not to just play, but change the game. And you can find that on Apple Podcasts and Spotify.
Awesome, awesome. Brittany, it's been lovely. It's been great. Thank you so much for your time, for your knowledge, and to sharing your story and being so transparent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate you.